Anna reached the airport long before the evening rush. She moved through the bright halls with a calm face and steady steps. Her gray coat looked plain, her bag was small, and her hair was tied back neatly. Most people hurried past her without a second look, and that was fine with her. She liked traveling quietly, watching little details like signs, shoes, and tired smiles. In her pocket was a first-class ticket, folded once, kept clean like a small promise. The terminal felt busy but not chaotic, full of rolling wheels and soft announcements. Families gathered near charging stations, business travelers stared at screens, and tourists took pictures. Anna chose a spot near the gate window where she could see the runway lights blink slowly. She checked the time, then looked at the boarding sign, then at the passengers lining up. She did not look nervous, but she was alert in a quiet way that never left her. She had flown many times, and she had learned how quickly respect could change in public spaces. When boarding started, the line split into groups, and first class was called first. Anna stepped forward with the others, holding her ticket and her ID in the same hand. A staff member named Paul stood at the scanner with a practiced smile that did not reach his eyes. He took tickets quickly, barely looking up, until Anna placed hers in front of him. His eyes dropped to the seat number, then lifted to her face, and his mouth tightened. Anna noticed that small shift, the kind that happens before someone decides a story about you. Paul held the ticket a little longer than the others, as if the paper had surprised him. He said there was a problem and asked Anna to step to the side for a moment. Anna kept her voice gentle and said the ticket was valid and the seat number was clear. Paul gave a short laugh that sounded more like a habit than real humor. He told her first class was full, and that she should check the back cabin instead. Anna did not argue, she only repeated that she had paid for the seat shown on the ticket. A second staff member named Lisa walked over, pulled by Paul's quick hand signal. Lisa looked at the ticket, then at Anna, then back at the ticket again. She spoke softly to Paul, not quiet enough, but not loud enough to be brave either. People behind Anna began to slow down, pretending to fix bags while listening. Anna felt the attention settle on her shoulders, heavy but familiar, like rain before a storm. She stayed still, refusing to give anyone a reason to label her as difficult. Paul's tone became sharper, and he said the ticket looked wrong, like it had been printed badly. Anna offered her ID again and suggested he recheck the booking code on the scanner. Lisa shook her head and said it would take too long, and the flight was already behind schedule. A man in line sighed loudly, and a woman glanced away as if looking could stain her day. Anna turned slightly toward the window and took one slow breath, then faced the staff again. She asked politely for a supervisor, using the same calm voice she used for everything important. Paul's face changed, and the practiced smile disappeared completely. He said there was no need for that, and he reached toward the ticket like he owned it. Anna held it firmly, not pulling back, only holding steady, the way you hold truth. Paul's fingers gripped the paper, and in one sudden motion he tore it in half. The ripping sound cut through the gate noise, and a few people flinched at the sharpness of it. Anna looked down at the two pieces in her hand, then lifted her eyes without anger. For a moment the line stopped moving, as if the gate itself had forgotten what to do. Lisa stared at the torn ticket, then at Anna's face, and her expression became uneasy. Paul told Anna she needed to step aside and speak to customer service after boarding ended. He spoke like he was closing a door, like this was finished, like she should disappear neatly. Anna felt a tightness in her chest, not fear, but the sting of being dismissed in public. She did not raise her voice, she did not beg, she simply asked again for the manager. Anna stepped away from the scanner and stood near the window, holding the torn pieces carefully. She watched a plane taxi slowly across the runway, lights blinking like patient eyes. Behind her, boarding continued, and people avoided looking directly at her, choosing comfort over courage. A child glanced up at her, curious and honest, then was pulled forward by an adult hand. Anna kept her shoulders relaxed, but inside she was counting every detail, every word, every face. She knew moments like this were never just moments, they were tests that revealed a company's heart. Anna stood by the tall window near the gate, holding the torn pieces of her ticket carefully. The glass reflected her face, calm on the surface, thoughtful underneath. Outside, the runway lights glowed softly as planes moved like slow animals in the distance. She listened to boarding calls and footsteps passing behind her, each sound layered with quiet tension. This was not the first time she had been judged before being heard, and it likely would not be the last. Still, each moment carried its own weight, and she treated it with attention and care. People continued to walk past her, some curious, some uncomfortable, many pretending nothing had happened. A man adjusted his jacket while avoiding her eyes, a woman checked her phone again and again. A young worker nearby glanced over but said nothing, fear and rules keeping him silent. Anna noticed everything, the way shoulders tightened, the way voices lowered near her space. She did not blame them. Silence was a habit learned early in crowded places. She focused instead on breathing slowly and staying present, letting the moment unfold fully. After several minutes, a man named Ben approached, his badge marking him as a manager. His walk was quick but unsure, like someone entering a room where the air had already changed. Paul spoke first, explaining the situation with confidence that felt rehearsed. Lisa nodded beside him, adding small details that made the story lean one direction. Ben listened without interrupting, his eyes moving between the staff and Anna. When he finally turned to her, his voice was neutral, careful, and controlled. Anna handed him the torn ticket pieces and her ID without hesitation. She explained what had happened using clear words and a steady tone. She said she had purchased the seat herself and arrived early as always. She mentioned she had offered to have the ticket rechecked before it was torn. Her voice carried no anger, only clarity, which made the silence afterward even heavier. Ben looked down at the ticket pieces again, his brow tightening as he read the details. Something in the booking code caught Ben's attention, and he paused longer than expected. He asked Anna to wait a moment and stepped a short distance away to make a call. Paul shifted his weight, suddenly less certain, while Lisa folded her hands tightly. The gate area felt still, like everyone sensed a change but did not yet understand it. Anna watched Ben speak quietly into his phone, his posture growing more rigid by the second. She knew that look well, the look of someone realizing a mistake too late. Ben returned slowly, his face no longer neutral, now edged with concern. He asked Anna a question, softer than before, confirming her full name. When she answered, his shoulders dropped slightly, like a burden had landed. He asked another question, this one careful, almost respectful. Anna responded simply, offering no explanation beyond what was asked. The space between them felt charged, as if truth was pressing outward. Paul noticed the shift and straightened suddenly, his earlier confidence fading. Lisa looked from Ben to Anna, her expression tight with uncertainty. Ben asked Anna if she would mind stepping aside for a private conversation. Anna agreed and followed him a few steps away from the gate noise. She felt no need to rush, knowing that time now belonged to her. The airport continued moving around them, unaware that something important was turning. Ben lowered his voice and asked if Anna was connected to the airline leadership. Anna met his eyes and answered honestly, without pride or drama. She explained that she preferred traveling without attention, learning through observation. Ben inhaled sharply, understanding settling over him like a sudden storm. He apologized quickly but stopped when Anna raised her hand gently. She said this moment was not about words, but about what came next. Ben stood quietly after Anna spoke, the noise of the gate fading into the background. His face showed a mix of concern and realization that could not be hidden anymore. He glanced once toward Paul and Lisa who were standing stiffly near the scanner. Anna followed his glance and saw how small they suddenly looked in their own space. She did not feel satisfaction, only a calm sense of responsibility settling in. This moment was no longer personal, it was about the system she had built. Ben asked Anna if she would be willing to speak more openly now. She nodded and said honesty worked best when everyone could hear it. They walked back toward the gate where the staff and nearby passengers watched closely. Ben cleared his throat and addressed Paul and Lisa in a firm but controlled voice. He asked them to explain again why the ticket had been torn instead of checked. Neither answered right away, and the silence grew longer with every breath. Paul finally spoke, but his words came out uneven and defensive. He said he believed the ticket was wrong and acted quickly to keep boarding on time. Lisa added that she agreed with him and thought there was no harm in refusing entry. Anna listened without interrupting, her expression steady and unreadable. When they finished, she stepped forward just enough to be clearly seen. Her presence carried weight now, though nothing about her voice changed. Anna explained who she was and why she traveled quietly. She said she wanted to understand how people were treated when no status was visible. She spoke about trust and how it was built in small moments at places like gates. She said tearing a ticket was not efficiency, it was dismissal. Some passengers nearby shifted uncomfortably as her words settled around them. Others looked at the staff with new eyes, connecting actions to consequences. Ben nodded slowly, absorbing every word with care. He thanked Anna for her honesty and said the incident would be fully documented. He informed Paul and Lisa that they were relieved from duty for the rest of the shift. Their faces drained of color, and neither tried to argue. Anna did not look at them as they stepped away. She believed accountability did not need an audience to be real. Ben asked Anna if she still wished to board the flight. She looked toward the plane through the window, lights glowing against the dark sky. After a moment, she shook her head and said no. She said the flight could leave without her and the story should stay intact. Ben agreed and promised a full review by the next morning. The decision surprised some passengers, but Anna felt certain it was right. As boarding finished, the gate slowly returned to its usual rhythm. People spoke again, though more softly than before. A few glanced at Anna with curiosity and respect they had not shown earlier. She remained near the window, watching the plane prepare for departure. Her thoughts were already moving forward to policies and training and change. Moments like this shaped companies more than meetings ever could. Ben returned with a small bottle of water and offered it to Anna. She accepted with a quiet thank you and took a slow sip. He told her the board would be informed exactly as she requested. He asked if there was anything else she needed before leaving the airport. Anna thought for a moment and then asked for one thing only. She asked that no detail be softened or explained away. Ben promised her transparency and meant it. He had built his career on procedures, but this reminded him of people. Anna gathered her bag and the torn ticket pieces and prepared to leave. As she walked away from the gate, she felt neither victory nor defeat. She felt clarity, the kind that comes after truth is spoken aloud. Behind her, the plane lifted into the night carrying a lesson heavier than luggage. Outside the terminal, the air felt cooler and quieter. Anna paused for a moment under the lights and looked back at the building. She knew change would not come instantly or easily. But she also knew this moment would ripple through training rooms and offices. She stepped forward with steady steps, already planning the next conversation. The story was not over yet, it was only reaching its turning point. The next morning the airline headquarters felt different, even before anyone spoke about the incident. Ben arrived early with a folder in his hand and a tired look on his face. He had barely slept, replaying the gate scene in his mind again and again. He knew that if the report became soft or incomplete, nothing would change. So he wrote every detail plainly, names, time, location, and exact actions. When he finished, he sent it to the board and to the training team without delay. A board meeting was called within hours, not loud, not dramatic, but urgent. Senior leaders listened as Ben read the report with a steady voice. Some faces showed shock, others showed discomfort, and a few looked defensive. Then Anna joined the call briefly and spoke with calm authority. She did not demand attention, she demanded standards and consistency. She said respect must be a rule, not a reward given only to certain people. The board agreed on immediate steps that would be visible, not hidden in paperwork. New gate procedures were issued the same day, simple and clear. Tickets could not be destroyed, ever, and every dispute required a proper check. If a scan failed, Staff had to verify booking details through the system before deciding. A manager had to be called if doubt remained, no shortcuts allowed. The goal was not to punish fast, the goal was to prevent harm in the first place. Training was updated to focus on real situations, not only polite phrases. Workers practiced calm problem-solving under pressure and learned to slow down. They were taught that a person standing quietly still deserved full attention and fairness. They were also trained to avoid assumptions based on appearance or tone. Supervisors were told to watch patterns, not just isolated mistakes. The airline wanted a culture where safety and dignity lived side by side. Paul and Lisa were formally reviewed, and the process was handled carefully. They were removed from passenger-facing duties while the review continued. They were required to complete training and meet with leadership for accountability sessions. The company did not hide what happened, but it also avoided public drama. Anna believed correction worked best when it was firm and structured. She wanted fewer headlines and more real change inside the system. Weeks passed, and the airline began to feel different in small but important ways. At gates, staff started using calmer voices and clearer steps. When a problem appeared, they checked first, then explained, then solved. Passengers noticed the difference, not as a big announcement, but as a smoother experience. Ben walked through terminals sometimes just to observe, learning like Anna did. He watched for quiet fairness, the kind that showed when no one was watching. One evening, Anna returned to the same airport, dressed simply again. She carried the same small bag and stood in line with the same quiet posture. No one recognized her, and she did not want to be recognized. A new staff member named Nora scanned her ticket, smiled politely, and welcomed her. The scanner beeped, the screen confirmed her seat, and Nora thanked her warmly. Anna nodded and walked forward, feeling the air around her stay calm. Inside the first-class cabin, Anna sat by the window and looked out at the runway. The seat felt comfortable, but what mattered more was the feeling of being treated normally. She watched the crew work with steady focus and respectful manners toward every passenger. A traveler nearby struggled with a bag, and a crew member helped without impatience. Anna noticed how small moments added up into a different kind of company. She breathed out slowly, feeling a quiet relief settle in her chest. As the plane lifted into the night, the city lights became a soft pattern below. Anna thought about how power could speak loudly without raising a voice. She did not enjoy catching people doing wrong, she enjoyed building things that worked right. She understood that fairness was not a mood, it was a discipline practiced daily. In that moment she felt hopeful, not because the world was perfect, but because it could improve. She turned her face toward the window and let the steady hum of flight carry the lesson forward.